Right, ladies and gentlemen, MrSotko here. Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about all kinds of things, mostly crypto news, but I have a couple other news that I want to talk about as well. So the first thing that I would like to talk about is I am currently making a second GDAX / Coinbase account, and what I'm going to do is put a little bit of funds on there. So definitely not all of my funds, but I'm going to transfer a little bit, and I will trade for you guys, and I will make various update videos on that trading and how it's going. And that's sort of due to overwhelming demand for people requesting that I make additional trading videos. So the trading videos that I did make, there's just a ton of comments of people saying that they want to see something exactly like this, and meaning live trading, if you will. So I'm not really going to do it with a live streaming thing, because the problem with day trading live in a live stream is that oftentimes, you know, if you make a trade and the price goes down and you just have to wait a little while, and that's just sort of how day trading goes, is that you can't just always be trading all the time. Once in a while you have to wait a couple days. Some days you get really lucky and you can make 10 trades in one day. Other days, not so lucky. So I mean, I'm always making money, never losing money, because if you sell below what you bought it at, then you lose money, and it's pretty easy not to do that. So you just basically buy in, and if the price did dip below what you bought in, then you just essentially just buy more and set a nice high bid. So I just have GDAX up here just to kind of show you guys what it's going to be looking like. It's just going to be this. It's going to be GDAX, and I will have a second account here pretty soon, waiting for a little bit more funds. And then I will just sort of transfer some over to my second one. And now into some crypto news. I want to talk about something that I've talked about a little while ago, but now it's gone a little further along, and I'd like to give an update on it. So Venezuela is asking its banks to mine and use cryptocurrency, and its unions are outraged by that. So Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro has authorized all savings banks in the country to mine and use the recently launched national cryptocurrency, the Petro. Union leaders are outraged by the suggestion, calling the Petro a scam, accusing Maduro of abusing his power and declaring the idea unconstitutional. So here's the thing with Venezuela. Venezuela has a serious inflation problem. What had happened is that Venezuela actually has a ton of oil. They're oil rich. However, when Maduro came to power, he used the money well and increased the infrastructure of his oil and started to produce more and more oil for the country, which was really helping the country out a lot. And what he did next was use that money for welfare programs and to, you know, just help the people out, which at first glance you would think that's really great. And it is. However, what happened is that he stopped using the money that was coming in, the income that was coming in from the oil that they had increased over time, and continued to use that money for welfare programs and social programs in the country, which led to a problem in that the oil started to go to the wayside. All of the infrastructure and things like that started to break down, and all the oil just sort of went to the wayside. And it created a huge problem in the country. So it was sort of a misappropriation of funds, if you will, in that he used way too much of it for social purposes rather than actually reinvesting some of that money into the oil industry itself. So sort of a double-edged sword there. And also Venezuela is known for its corruption and things like that as well. So what they did was come out with the Petro, which is a crypto coin based on their oil prices and such for the country itself, because the inflation was so high that everybody was turning to cryptocurrency anyway, and all their money, the actual Venezuelan money, was pretty much useless because it wasn't really worth anything. So Maduro has authorized all savings banks in the country to join the cryptocurrency production system and acquire the Petro to contribute the benefits to their workers. According to the government's website, he explained that the proposal came after several meetings held by the superintendent of the Venezuelan cryptocurrency, Carlos Vargas. And mind you, I don't know how to pronounce Spanish names that well, but it is what it is, with more than 1,400 savings banks in the country. So his announcement was, which was broadcasted nationwide, proposes that savings banks could develop mining farms throughout the national territory to increase the benefits for more than 6 million workers. So what you see here is the petro container that banks are supposed to use in front of their banks or behind their banks, wherever, to mine this cryptocurrency. So I don't have a picture of inside this petro container, but I'd imagine it's filled with GPUs or ASIC miners or what have you in order to create this currency. So it seems to us as an abuse of power and totalitarianism. In addition, the petro is a virtual currency that violates the Constitution. As workers, we disagree that this cryptocurrency is imposed on us, and they also threaten to basically strike. We who are oil workers know what the cost of bringing a barrel of oil means. That is a dictatorial measure that is taken against the Venezuelan workers. So in a nutshell, the bankers and a lot of people just don't like this. And then this article here pretty much states my suspicions entirely, because while not many things are clear about Venezuela's new stated backed cryptocurrency, the petro, what is apparent is that many think it's potentially harmful for the country's people. Assuming people really do use the petro for daily transactions, it would give the government an acute awareness of citizens' personal finances. So imagine this. This quote is basically all we need in this article. So imagine this. Imagine the U.S. government adopts Bitcoin or some other currency, right? So normally when you go into a bank, you give them all of your information. I mean, you give them your license, you give them your name, your address, your social security number, everything about you when you go to sign up a bank account. And I'm sure most of you already know that. So what I imagine is going to happen with a cryptocurrency that is backed by the government they would have to have your public key. They would give you a public key and be like, this is your public key. This is what you will receive your currency to whenever you're paid, or however this is going to work. And so your public key is now going to be tied to your name, your address, your social security number, whatever they have in Venezuela. But in this case, we're just using the United States as an example. So it would be tied to your social security number, your address, your name. And currently, Bitcoin is not. So you can just open up a Bitcoin address or a wallet, and you have a public key that's essentially private because it doesn't have your name attached to it. So if I sent somebody Bitcoin, all they would see is a public key. They don't know that it was me that sent it to them, or they don't know that they sent it to me either way. As long as if we didn't know each other. So I could essentially buy a product off of somebody offline, completely anonymous, or even face-to-face, and they don't know my name, and I simply just scan my phone and they scan their phone, or I give them my public key and they send me the Bitcoin. In this case, it would have your name attached to that. So every transaction that you ever made would be in the blockchain, and they would know how much money you have, where you sent it, who sent it to you. And that's kind of bad. That's not really necessarily a good thing. That sort of breaks the whole definition, the people's definition of cryptocurrency. I don't feel that that's the definition of cryptocurrency personally. It doesn't have to be anonymous, in my opinion, although I do like anonymity, of course, don't get me wrong. But, I mean, cryptocurrency, in general, to the people, feel that it should be absolutely anonymous and controlled by the people entirely, which in many, many ways I agree with. So now there's U.S. action against Venezuela's controversial crypto. A U.S. senator has previously spoken out against Venezuela's newly launched cryptocurrency. Isn't done with the issue. Last month, senators blah, 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 even Marco Rubio in there, wrote a letter blasting the petro and asking the Treasury Department to monitor its progress, as well as offer insight into how the department might work against the token's use to flout U.S. sanctions. So here we go with the U.S. again. Always wanting to control the world and essentially police the world. And they fear that Venezuela will be able to essentially launder drug money, launder all kinds of money, and do things basically off of the books. And of course, the U.S. and many other governments do not like that. So I'm not really going to get into that article too much because we can all imagine what the rest of the article says. Just a bunch of senators blasting something that's anonymous. That's not particularly surprising. Another country that is proposing to issue a national cryptocurrency. So this is going to be a fad. Over the next few years, we are going to see this very often. So do not be surprised by this, as even Ben Bernanke, the former chair of the Federal Reserve, stated that he does not like Bitcoin, and that's for obvious reasons, because it's anonymous and they cannot control it. But they do like the idea of blockchain, and that's because they could create an exact amount of coins. They could control an exact amount of coins, destroy an exact amount of coins, increase inflation, decrease inflation, all those things, increase interest rates and derivatives and all that fancy banker stuff, central banker stuff, and they could control it to a T, even more than they already do control money, or already do that they feel that they can control money. So this really makes a lot of sense. So do not be surprised to see many, many new countries start issuing their own national cryptocurrency. I don't think it's going to happen in America anytime soon, but this is very not surprising for emerging nations. And I don't mean to call Turkey or Venezuela an emerging nation. I don't really like the term third world nation, but if that's what you want to use, then go ahead and do that. But either way, so some of these nations that don't have the GDP on par with some of the more major nations, of course they're going to create these so that they can become independent and sort of get away from the whole petrodollar and things that essentially control them. So politicians in Turkey are reportedly looking to launch a national cryptocurrency, according to a report. Ahmet Kenan Tanrikulu, ooh my, another one. It's like always in these documents here, they try to test my skills in pronouncing people's foreign names. The deputy chair of Turkey's Nationalist Movement Party and the country's former industry minister has drafted a report to propose a state-backed cryptocurrency dubbed Turkcoin. Though the technical specifications remain unclear, the lawmaker touts that Turkcoin would aim to tokenize asset-backed securities for the issuance, which he argued would yield lower risks than existing cryptocurrencies. And that makes sense because obviously they can control it. The world is advancing toward a new digital system. Turkey should create its own digital system and currency before it's too late, which in some ways I agree with, and in some ways I disagree with, as everybody seems to like the whole idea of anonymous cryptocurrencies, as I said, and yet at the same time, I believe that cryptocurrency is essentially just a new phase of money. I mean, back in the day, I mean, think about it, hundreds of years ago, people are walking around with gold and silver tokens and things like that. So imagine you want to buy 3.1 pounds of rice and you have a gold coin. Well, how do you do that? So it was very difficult to walk around with gold. First of all, you're very vulnerable. It's very heavy, and you can't really split it up very well. Now, mind you, gold is very malleable. I suppose you could cut it with a knife or something like that and then weigh it, but it's all very difficult to do. So eventually, what happened was essentially these gold bankers would accept your gold, and then they would give you a promissory note, which ended up turning into money today. And so instead of walking around with your gold, you would just essentially turn in your gold and then get these promissory notes. And then we have central banks today, which throw out actual bills, and you use these bills and you use nickels and dimes and pennies in order to make transactions for exact amounts. And then in the past, 30 to 40 years, debit cards started to come across. I think the first debit card came in, I think, the late 60s or something like that. But basically, they didn't really become too popular until the late 70s, maybe early 80s. And even then, most people didn't really have credit cards then. That was sort of a rich person thing. And then really the whole debit card thing started to take off pretty strong in the mid 80s, maybe early 80s as well. So digital currency has not been around all that long. And when you think about it, digital currency, you don't own that currency. If I have $1,000 or something like that in my bank account, I don't really own $1,000. It's just a number. It's just a digital number, and I have this digital card that I swipe, and they say you've now lost 20 credits. Here's your product. So I don't really have control of that. But with Bitcoin, I do. I have control of my Bitcoin. I can put it on a drive. I can have it on a paper wallet. I can have it wherever I want and have it safe and be able to send it across borders. I can send my Bitcoin to somebody across the state, and it'll cost me a small network fee, but I could send my Bitcoin to somebody in Saudi Arabia, and it would cost me the same thing. It doesn't really matter the distance. However, with fiat money, it makes it a lot more difficult, because if you send US dollars to somebody in Turkey, or you send US dollars to somebody in China, it's got to go through the whole banking system, and you end up losing a lot of money. So, for example, a lot of Mexicans living in Mexico, I'm not saying everybody does, but there are some povertous individuals in Mexico, anywhere in the world, really. But I live in Arizona, so I kind of would know what's going on here. And so what they do is they cross the border. And if you have ever driven in Arizona, particularly around the Phoenix area, and you drive up and down the road, and if you drive past a gas station in a U-Haul truck, I've literally seen this. You can see day laborers, and they're standing outside of a gas station. It's usually about 6 or 7, maybe 10 guys standing around a gas station. And if you drive past them in a U-Haul, they will try to wave you down. And that's actually, honestly, that's respectable to me, because, right, they're looking to do an honest day's labor. They're looking to do whatever it takes to get a few bucks to send money back to their home. So what they have to do is end up using Western Union, and maybe they only made 50 bucks that day. Maybe they only made for the month a few $100 doing that. And they need to send money back to Mexico, and they have to use Western Union to do it unless they drive across the border. And that takes a lot of money to do that. So instead, they could just have cryptocurrency, which, again, needs to be implemented in much, much easier ways. Again, Coinbase is pretty easy, and there's a lot of apps that are very easy, but not everybody has access to that sort of thing or knowledge of that sort of thing. And then they could just send cryptocurrency across the border to somebody in Mexico. But again, cryptocurrency isn't in such a high use right now that if I was in Mexico, even in America, I mean, if I have, let's say I have 1 Bitcoin, or no, let's just say I have a few $100s in Bitcoin, right? And I need to buy groceries. I can't buy groceries with my Bitcoin. So what is the point of me even having Bitcoin at this time? Well, of course, it's for future use, and it's for making money at the moment. But for those in third world nations or emerging nations, whatever you want to call it, that coin isn't really going to be too useful to them just yet, because they can't just go to their local grocery store and buy $100 worth of groceries and say, well, here's some Bitcoin for that. Nobody's going to accept it. I can't just go to Walmart. I can't go to Fry's. I can't go to a Whole Food store and buy $100 worth of groceries. I just can't do that. So I still need my fiat money. So I think crypto still has a lot of work to do. So one thing I want to talk about here is Nanocoin. Nanocoin is going up huge right now. So this is sort of a call to arms for all you looking for a new coin to invest in. So having struggled to find acceptance above the 500 billion mark, the total value of all cryptocurrencies is set to end the week at a moderate loss. The figure hit a low of 422 billion Friday as Bitcoin, the world's largest cryptocurrency by market capitalizations, fell to an 8-day low of $9,593. Meanwhile, the total market capitalization stands at 445 billion, still down 8.26%. Out of the top 25 currencies by market capitalization, the majority are reporting losses on a weekly basis. That said, small caps like Nano and Ethereum Classic and VeChain have managed to etch out gains. So Nanocoin is on top right now. I want to show you that real quick. Nanocoin up 30%. I actually checked this about an hour ago, and it was 37%. So it had fallen a little scotch, but still pretty good. You can see Ethereum Classic up here. You can see VeChain all the way up here as well. Not too much, not nearly as much, but Ethereum Classic way up, which is really surprising. But Nanocoin is dominating all the other coins right now. So that is going to be a good coin to check out. So I wanted to show you Rayblocks.net. So if you don't know, Nanocoin was rebranded in January. It used to be called Rayblocks, and now it is Nanocoin. So if you go to Rayblocks and Rayblocks.net and you hit Get Started, you can get the web wallet, or you can get the core wallet, or a node wallet as well. So just to let you know that that is there, it's Rayblocks.net. So if you search for like Nanocoin website, it's going to be actually really hard for you to find this, because although Rayblocks is going to come up, you might not know that Rayblocks is Nanocoin. So I actually had to spend a couple minutes like hunting this down. I mean, honestly, it didn't take me very long, but I actually had to sort of do a little bit of digging, like a surprising amount of digging to actually find this because of the rebranding name and the fact that they didn't change the website to like nanocoin.net instead. So there's that. I think there was one more thing I wanted to talk about with Nanocoin, but I happen to forget. Oh, yeah. I want to click on that, and I want to show you guys what we're looking at here. And maybe go back 3 months. Yeah. So a few months ago, once Nanocoin was rebranded, I'm not sure the exact date that it was rebranded, but either way, it was about a $40 coin or so, just under 40 bucks. We're looking at about $36 or $37. I can't seem to get the exact here. I wish this was a little bit more exact. And now it's way down. It's about $12.23. So if Nanocoin went back to its $36 high, it would be 3 times your money. So put in $1,000 and you're going to get quite a bit back of Nanocoin if you sell at its all-time high of about 36 some dollars at the moment. So it's up 31% now, and again, as I said, it was earlier, it was 37, and just as I was showing you on CoinMarketCap, it didn't update while I was on there. Well, it says 27 on the front here for some reason, but either way, it's up quite a bit. 30% is pretty massive. A lot of people are talking about Nanocoin right now. So head to Roblox and you can get the web wallet there. I wanted to show you the markets here. It's on Binance. It does not appear that you can buy Nanocoin for US dollars anywhere aside from Bitflip. However, Bitflip has a market volume of only $2,681 a day, which is not good. That is very low liquidity, although its price is very high on there, but good luck actually filling an entire order on Bitflip. So I would recommend going to Binance or KuCoin or something like that and just using Bitcoin to buy your Nanocoin. So moving on, here's a business that you should not do business with. Bank of America. If you didn't know to already not do business with Bank of America long before the whole cryptocurrency debacle, well, that's unfortunate because Bank of America is one of the most notoriously crappy banks, that and Chase. But, you know, some people don't have a problem with them. A lot of people do. Bank of America is pretty bad. All their fees are ridiculous. And this is not a good bank, period. Get yourself a credit union. Credit unions are so much better. Bank of America cited cryptocurrency as a material risk to its business. Public records show the technology could hamper the second largest U.S. bank's ability to comply with anti-money laundering regulations, pose a competitive threat, and force the company to spend more money to keep up with the times. The bank said in its annual filing with the Securities and Exchange Commission, cryptocurrencies mentioned 3 times in the annual report, all in the section on risk factors. The first reference is in the discussion of AML, Know Your Customer, sanctions, and foreign corruption laws in the U.S. So we'll read this quote here. Our ability to comply with these laws is dependent on our ability to improve detection and reporting capabilities and reduce variation in control processes and oversight accountability. Yet perhaps more notable is the acknowledgement that cryptocurrency possesses competitive risks to the bank. Clients may choose to conduct business with other market participants who engage in business or offer products in areas we deem speculative or risky, such as cryptocurrencies. So first of all, Bank of America, let me just tell this to you. What we do with our money, it's just not your problem. I'm sorry. Even if I'm using my money for illegal purposes, that's on me. You know what I mean? Or if I'm using my money for just simply buying something on Coinbase for cryptocurrencies, that's on me. It doesn't matter. If I'm using it for buying cryptocurrency and I lose all my money, it doesn't matter. Sure, I took my money out of Bank of America and they don't have my money anymore, but that's what a bank is for. It's not for just keeping my money and then running off to the hills with it. Again, if I'm going to use my money for something illegal, whatever that may be, again, that's on me. I'm the one that's going to get busted, not Bank of America. So, screw you, Bank of America, first and foremost. And second of all, Bank of America, if you're watching this, which I know you're not watching this, but this is just to the people, you need to get onto crypto. Get onto crypto. And make sure that you incorporate your business with crypto, because crypto is going to be the future. And it's kind of like old politicians. You see all these old politicians and they're like 70, 80 years old in the Senate. They have been a senator for, and don't get me wrong, they're really experienced people, but they've been a senator for 50 years. They're like, back in 1950s, I used to get a milkshake at the malt shop, and they're completely out of touch with modern reality. And so I think that's what's happening with Bank of America. And let me give you another big example of a company being out of touch with reality, and that is NVIDIA. I remember reading an NVIDIA article, and I even had it on my YouTube channel, I think some odd videos back, maybe 5 or 6 videos back or something like that, where NVIDIA basically did not know how much of their sales were for GPU mining. So they did not intend to release any kind of graphics card specifically for mining, even though they kind of did with the like 104 series or whatever it's called, where it doesn't have a doesn't actually have a graphics port onto it. So kind of in a way, but they basically said they have no way of knowing how much of their graphics cards were going to mining sales for crypto miners. And let me just give you a hint, NVIDIA. Take a look at Newegg. Take a look at OfferUp. Take a look at Craigslist or Amazon or eBay, and take a look at how much your graphics cards are going for. A 1080 Ti on Newegg or even OfferUp, even my local area on OfferUp or Craigslist, $1,300+ for a 1080 Ti. Sure, once in a while you might be able to get a good deal on somebody who doesn't know how much it's worth right now, but overall everybody knows how much they're worth, and they're running at like $1,300. So you mean to tell me your giant corporation can't just simply open up eBay or Newegg and wonder why these prices? Do you think that gaming is so popular that people are reselling their cards for $500 or $600 more than they're worth? It just goes to show how incompetent some of these corporations and basically elderly who are running these corporations, who, mind you, are very good businessmen. They run a very good business and they run a successful business, but they are very slow to change. They don't understand cryptocurrency. They don't understand why their graphics cards are being sold off the shelves, completely barren. They don't understand why people have entire warehouses filled to the max with graphics cards mining cryptocurrency. So wake up, corporations, and incorporate yourself into cryptocurrency. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it was a little bit long, but I just wanted to talk about some news. I wanted to talk about some things, and sooner or later here, I'll be trading on my second account, and I'll show you guys that trade. I'll show you guys those trades, after I buy and sell and things like that. I'll show you the reasoning why I did what and this, that, and the other thing. And but as usual, I'll see you guys next time.